Hey guys, welcome back. How are you? I hope you all are good and doing well. In the last lecture, we created autocomplete from scratch using Stimulus.js and we saw how it works with the static data. But in this lecture, we will learn how to get this Stimulus.js autocomplete working with dynamic data. Okay, here we will replace the dummy data and change our Stimulus autocomplete controller a bit to accept the project data from the backend. Okay, I mean project lists from the database. Okay, so let's do that. So first switch to the project directory. Okay, and here you can see that this is my controllers directory and here I have project controller. Okay, so what I need to do that I need to make some modification in the index section of the project controller. Okay, we need to check whether the query provided by user is present or not. Okay, by query I mean whatever the user types it into the uh, autocomplete search box. Okay, so now let's do that. So here what we will do that first we need to check that if params query dot present. Okay, if it present, else. Okay, so if this query param is present, then we need to filter our data using like query. Okay, so let's do that. So at the rate projects equal to project dot where. Okay, and here what we need to do, title like and then question mark. Okay, and here what you need to do, you need to fetch the params. Okay, so here percent and then hash. Here what we will do, params query. Okay, and add percent again. Okay, so what it will do that it will find all the project where title matching, where the project title contains the params query as the substring. Okay, whether it start with or end with or in between. Okay, and then if you wish you can add limit as well. Okay, and you can decide the limit number, let's say 10, 20, 25, whatever. So I'm choosing limit number 10. Okay, so here you can see that I use like query. Okay, because right now I'm working in the local host, I mean in the development environment, and I use the default SQLite database. Okay, and SQLite only works with the like, but if you are using Postgres or MySQL as your database adapter, you can use I like as well. Okay, and this will work for you. But since I'm using SQLite, so I used like query here. Okay, now as the next thing what we need to do that we need to uh, l- load projects based upon their request type. Okay, and the request type can be like JSON or HTML. Okay, so whenever the user try to search project through the autocomplete field, we need to accept the request as the JSON format. Okay, and otherwise if they directly visiting the project's index page, we need to do it using the HTML format. Okay, so here after this if else part, what we need to do, we need to add the respond to block. Okay, so let's do that. Respond to do, then format. Okay, and here in this respond to block, if request dot format is HTML, format dot HTML, then we do not need to do anything. Otherwise if request dot format is format dot JSON. Okay, what we need to do that render JSON. Okay, and then at the rate projects dot select. Okay, and then ID comma title. Okay, let's say what we can see from response here. So let's say product projects dot JSON. Okay, and then let's say query equal to, let's say cons. Okay, so we will see data like this. Okay, so we will see ID and title. So whatever you provide in the query, you will get a result like that. Okay, so this is how it will work. Okay, so now let's come to our original HTML page. Okay, so that's it for the controller level. Now we need to modify our stimulus controller to send request to this controller action and fetch projects from here, I mean these projects instance variable. Okay, so let's open the stimulus controller. So here is my autocomplete stimulus controller, and first of all, now since we will fetch data in the from the backend, so we need to send a request to the backend. So okay, so that's why we need to use async await with our search function. Okay, because now we will make an ajax call to project controller, or without async and await, we will face some promise issues. Okay, so let's make the search function async first. Okay, so here what you need to do, async. Okay, and now we need to remove this trim and lowercase functionality as well for us, sorry, the function invocation here as well. Okay, why? Because now in the project controller you can see that we added the like query, so now we do not need to use any trim or any lowercase. Our Rails query will handle this automatically. Okay, so now the next thing is this, if query dot length less than 1, so we do not need to change this condition because this is still required just to verify that user types at least something. Okay, now we need to get rid of the static array of the project objects. Okay, so here you can see that this is our static list of projects, so we need to get rid of this, so we can comment it here, and we can also comment this filtered projects. Okay, why? Because we don't need that. Now we will get the filtered data based on the query that we added. Okay, so now we need to use await to make a response to the project controllers index section. Okay, so here what we need to do, const, let's say response. Okay, and then await, we will use fetch API. Okay, and in this fetch API what you need to do, slash projects slash dot json and question mark query. Okay, and the query equal to, let's bind this with the query object. Okay, so this query object, sorry, this query constant. Okay, so here, okay, now we need to convert this response into the JSON. So const projects equal to await response dot JSON. Okay, save it, sorry, add the semicolon here as well. Okay, and now we don't need to change anything except we need to replace this variable name which is filtered project. So now what we need to do, we need to replace this with projects. Okay, so now you can see that we have this school as the dynamic data. Okay, and one more thing, that since we replace these projects with filtered projects, so we don't need to make any further changes. Okay, now save this, and here you can see that we have school management, but in my project list I do not have any school kind of project or any project which title contains the school as the substring. So let's try to find that. So save this and go to the browser and refresh your page. Okay, and here let me type the school. Okay, so now it will not show me any data, but let me type the Microsoft for examples. Here you can see that I have this Microsoft, so let's say, so you can see I can see the Microsoft integration here. And when you see that whenever I'm typing a request to go to the Rails controller, here you can see that it is sending query micr and the request is being passed as the JSON request. Okay, so it is loading my uh, actual data from the backend, so and with the filtered ones. Okay, let's say type C here, so you can see it C contains construction management, Microsoft Teams integration, online car rentals, and so on. Okay, now let's create few more projects. Let's say remove this task one, or let's create a school management. Okay, and let's add task, let's say task one. Okay, and create this project, go to the project list, and now let's try to search school. So you can see now we can see the school management project in the autocomplete, and if you go to the terminal you can see that the query is passing as like school SC and S. Okay, so this is how it works. So our autocomplete with the dynamic data is working, and that's it. Okay, so we got the stimulus autocomplete working with the backend data too. So here we completed the autocomplete input element from scratch using stimulus JS, and we saw both static and dynamic ways to achieve this. Now you do not need to rely on jQuery UI or any outside plugin for basic uses of autocomplete in the latest Rails versions, or because by default it is the stimulus one, so you do not need to depend on any outside plugins. Okay, and this is a fast approach as well. So I hope you like this. Thanks for watching this, and we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, stay safe.